I'm Rev Jesse van der Valk. I'm the rector of St Mary Magdalene Woolwich.
My in on this was that it's a 50 Churches Act church.
It is, yes, that's right. Yeah. So it's part of the Queen Anne 50 churches, which I think there was a special fund to build more churches in London, and this was one of them. And this one was built in the 1740s, but it replaced a church which was here before. So just on this side, we've got the River Thames. We're just next to the River Thames, and there's a little bit of space between the present church and the Thames. So the earlier church was just there, just in between the present church and the River Thames. That was suffering from subsidence and falling into the river. All the ground was moving towards the river, and so that was eventually demolished, and this one was built.
The complaints about the original church being undermined began almost 100 years before the old church was eventually replaced. The parishioners complained the bones of the dead are washed out of the churchyard into the river. You won't see St Mary Magdalene on the list of 12 churches actually completed by the 50 Churches Act. And it's not compliant with the Act in any case. It's built with brick rather than with a stone finish. Formerly, the Commission part-funded the church and required a separate Act of Parliament to do so. By that stage, they were watching the money.
So obviously the first half of the history of the church, it would have been Roman Catholic before the Reformation.
Yes.
And then since the Reformation in the 16th century, it's obviously been Church of England. But the park as well is a cemetery. So it's Church of England Cemetery. At some point, I think about 100 years ago, all the gravestones were moved and placed by the walls, the outside walls, and the whole thing was landscaped. So it was done by a famous landscape person.
Yes, she also did the landscaping in St Anne's Limehouse.
And then down in the bottom corner, the lion, which is a memorial to Thomas Cribb, the boxer, famous boxer, was put there by public subscription because he was such a popular person. He was not from this area, but he lived on Woolwich High Street, on Powys Street. And when the king was made king, he had some of the famous boxers in the country as his ushers. Yeah, but he was a very famous boxer and won the world championship of bare knuckle fighting. So the rules were not the same in those days as they are now. Really, they used to fight until one of them was knocked out or too injured to carry on. Yeah, 40 rounds.
40 rounds?
Yeah,
40?
40 rounds, yeah. He fought the American champion, Molyneux, I think he was called, until he broke his jaw. And that was the end of the fight, really.
The Pevsner was quite rude about that statue. I think he implies it's a bit silly.
No,
I don't think it is at all.
No, I mean,
it is at all.
No, the point of it is really it was public subscription.
Take that, Pevsner. So I kind of got a little bit obsessed with Tom Cribb. I mean, national hero. But the trouble is, once you look, so there's a contemporary account of Tom taking part in a dogfight. Okay, now I know it's completely wrong to judge people by the morals of the day today, but I'm broadly not in favour of dogfights. Actually, it was a dog versus a monkey. I'm making a YouTube video about a boxer. Would you mind helping me out for a bit? It seems unfair on the monkey. They did try and balance it though. They gave the monkey a knife. It was a knife fight of a monkey against dogs. So it's unfair to judge the mores of the day with the mores of today. So I'm going to be about this, just... No, not in the face. You've got to miss me. You've got to miss me. No contact, no contact. Oh, that was contact. Oh, not the face. Not the face. But when you read the full account, actually what's happening is Tom Cribb is fixing the fight. So the monkey is supposed to be cutting the jugular veins of the dogs, but actually it's Tom Cribb cutting the jugular veins. The dogs die. I'm guessing it was some sort of betting scam. I mean, there's only one source. It could even be a different Tom Cribb. The context indicates it's the Tom Cribb. Yeah, it makes me feel slightly different about him. Oh, please, someone YouTube, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong about Tom.
Certainly, there's been a church here on this site for about 1,000 years. And there's been rectors of Woolwich for 1,000 years as well. So
Really?
I'm the latest in the line of rectors for 1,000 years.
So Do you actually have a list of the rectors that go back beyond
We
this
do.
church? Really?
Just it, yeah, we do. You can
all the
look
way back to
yeah,
the 1,000 years?
yeah. So you
Oh,
can
wow,
see
okay.
we've always got a bell tower as well, with
Yeah,
8 bells.
Will I be able to go up the bell tower?
No, not really.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. Do you think I left it there, YouTube? I did not. What is this?
So this is the emblem of the church, going back to the 1740s. So this is the original sort of insignia of St Mary's Church, when it was dedicated. As we know, it was by Act of Parliament. And these are the rectors of Woolwich. This is the earlier chart. I'm sure that a lot of them were quite famous in their time.
If you look very carefully at the first 4 dates, you can see it's probably not an entirely complete record, unless John Chaplin was rector for a full 100 years. But still, it's a remarkable record. There were lots of influential rectors, including the 16th century rector John Sweeting, who assisted in building the Great Harry at Woolwich Dockyard. But my favourite is Philip Stubbs, who wrote God's Dominion over the Sea and the Seaman's Duty Considered, which essentially argues that God is on Britain's side because of the Spanish Armada, and sailors should not be tempted to pray to the Star of the Sea, to papists, but pray directly to God. This was published in no less than 3 editions, though this could have been related to the fact it was given to French sailor prisoners of war. Biff!
But there's been more well-known ones in recent times as well. So the last one is the Reverend Nicholas Stacey. He had royal connections, at least his wife did. He was well known at the time as being quite an innovative vicar, trying to find new ways of reaching out to the community. And he did a lot of redevelopment of the church, for better or for worse, at the time. It didn't really work out all that well. He was here about 8 years in the 1960s. One of his most notable achievements was that about 50 or 60 years ago now, he helped set up the London Quadrant Housing Association.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which became the biggest housing association in the country, which is now worth tens of billions of pounds. But that started in the vestry here at St Mary's Church as just as a housing project to help house local people. Yeah, that's right. And that was a project here at the church, and that developed into the Housing Association, which is still going, L&Q. And then we've got the more recent ones here. So
you didn't decide to update this, You've made a more basic.
Oh, yeah. My daughter did it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, she did. She was very young. She was actually in primary school at the time.
And she said, "We need you on this list."
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to have a list, it's got to be.
Yeah,
complete.
no, definitely, absolutely.
Yeah. So has it always been Mary Magdalene Church?
I don't think it has. No, I think originally it was St Lawrence Church. So okay. I'm told, but that's many hundreds of years ago. So whether that might have been before the Reformation. We used to have 2 churches in our parish. So this is St Mary Magdalene Church, but we also had St Michael and All Angels Church, which was just over there, about half a mile away. And that was built in the 19th century, and that was a project by Keble College, Oxford. So the parish is still linked to Keble College, Oxford, and I'm still a Keble College incumbent. And so when they appoint a new vicar here, Keble College, Oxford get a say.
Why is Keble College even involved?
Yes, well, Keble College are involved because in the 19th century, some of the Oxford colleges, in particular Keble College, Oxford, which was a high Anglican college, they were interested in reaching out to poorer people in the country. And Woolwich was a very poor area, lots of things that bad things were there in Woolwich, really, which I don't want to mention. But they felt it was important to reach out, and so originally they built a tin church just at the other side of Woolwich, which was St Michael and All Angels Church, and that was eventually replaced by a proper brick church,
Yeah.
which is still there today. But it's because they wanted to reach out to poorer people
And was that,
in the country.
and was that related to the Oxford movement?
Yes, it was, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm particularly interested in the Oxford movement
Oh,
because,
really? Yes.
well, I think because it's a moment where suddenly lots of nice things to look at.
Yes,
Into
absolutely.
churches.
Yes, indeed. That's right. But which is good. So there were lots of nice things to look at in St Michael's Church. Although it was a fairly basic Oxford movement high Anglican church. And so that was good because there were not so many here at St Mary's Church. So when we closed St Michael's Church as an Anglican church, we were able to bring some of the things here. It was poor. It was a poor area, but there was a lot of industry. Woolwich Dockyard Station. It's one of these. It has such a long platform. It was one of the busiest dockyards in the country. And then upstairs, we have another church which meets here a few times a week. So that's a Pentecostal church. So we're here in the morning. They're here in the afternoon.
But why would they need a separate area if they're time shifted from you?
Because they've got all their things upstairs.
It's just their things.
Yes, yeah. And
it's not a liturgical issue.
No, well, yes and no, but it makes it easier. And then this screen, the two windows in it, we had moved from other parts of the church.
Oh, St Francis. Okay, that's the animal
Saint
guy.
Francis, yeah.
And St Martin.
St Martin of Tours.
So that was in one of the external windows.
Yes, it was. Yeah, but we couldn't see it because of the partitions which were put here in the 1960s. So we moved it. Yeah.
So these are the partitions here.
They are.
And that's kind of controversial.
Very controversial. So in the 1960s, Reverend Nicholas Stacey partitioned off parts of the nave, both upstairs and downstairs, to create offices and separate community rooms, which he hoped would be used by the community, but it never really happened. Yes.
Do you think, with the benefit of hindsight, you wish it hadn't been done?
With the benefit of hindsight, and certainly under modern faculty laws, it would never have been allowed to happen. And so we've actually been undoing, I hate to say this, we're gradually undoing some of the work. So the screens for the upstairs we've removed, because before you couldn't see the windows at all, and the church was very dark.
There were screens up there as well?
It was completely dark, the church, all the time. And so the downstairs was also partitioned off by Nicholas Stacey. So we've still got those partitions, and those rooms are used by the Under Fires project. But still, it means that we can't see the windows.
It's really, really tricky because
it is.
You want a useful building. Because if you don't have that, it doesn't survive as a building at all.
That's right. Do you want to have a look at the upstairs?
Yeah.
Shall we go? We can go up here if you like. Oh dear, let's go to the other side. I think we've got there. We've removed the screens that used to partition the upstairs off, and so we've got a lot more light in the church now.
And you couldn't have done what they're clearly doing with it now if.
No.
I'm just seeing these roses on the ceiling.
In fact, they really are part of the ventilation system of the church. And the other ones are where the chandeliers used to hang down.
So the chandeliers were removed as well?
Yeah, in the 18th century.
There's two types of churches I go to. The ones before the redecoration and the ones after.
Really? Is that right? Really? Yes, right, I see. That's amazing. Well,
there doesn't seem to be that intermediate thing.
No.
There's either one that's they're in very good order, or they're in, maybe you need a lot of work.
It's all very expensive.
Yeah. I'm going to leave it there this week, but next week we're going to come back and see some genuinely pretty things in the Victorian part of the church. We're also going to look at a few more famous people who are associated with the church, St Mary's Woolwich. And there's one more thing that's so devastating, so extraordinary. Well, wait till next week and you'll see. Oh, and subscribe. It really, really helps.